Hello and welcome to Piano Shack with me, Woody. Let's do one more read through of Sound on Sound magazine, this time from June 1987, because I want to see what the conclusion is for the Roland D50 review. So this one features Steve Levine on the cover, sporting a splendid mullet. I had a very similar haircut to him back then. Let's see, and then on the inside cover we have an ad there for this gorgeous D50 synthesizer. It says superlatives are not enough. Available only from Roland main dealers, from Roland UK. Yes, I know it's superlatives. You won't find a better deal than what ABC Music has to offer, but we looked at some of their deals last time, so we won't dwell on that today. We have the index here. Let's skip through this. The editorial. Let's take a look at this, because there was some interesting points here. So, this chap, Ian Gilby, has chosen to buy an Amstrad PC 1512. Why? This is one of Alan Sugar's much vaunted IBM PC clones. This is when the IBM PC was just about to break through. Interesting thing here, the second paragraph, but why did I want a new computer? Well, since most of this magazine is produced on a BBC B Micro. What? Sound on Sound magazine produced on a BBC Micro? I would never have guessed that, and the American viewers have no idea what a BBC Micro is, or anybody outside of the UK, but this was the school that was used in many schoolrooms in England, Scotland, Wales and so on. I had one myself. It was also available to buy for consumers, and I was the very lucky and proud owner myself of a BBC B Micro, and there was some great music software for it as well. But I'm surprised to read that Sound on Sound was produced on a BBC. Anything else here? Why did I eventually settle for an Amstrad PC? Well, it's because the remarkably low price, yes, of course, had nothing to do with it. I could have got an Atari ST for less if I had wanted. What clinched it for me was the fact that the Amstrad, being IBM compatible, was assured of support and also gave me immediate access to the huge pool of tried and tested software that already existed for the IBM PC. The IBM PC is well supported in terms of American music software, Sequencer Plus. There is also a third benefit to be gained. The Amstrad PC runs the MS-DOS operating system. Oh, well, that's it then. I'm sold on that. The moral of the story, if you can benefit now by having a certain piece of equipment, then do so. Don't sit on the fence worrying about whether Company X will bring out a cheaper version in 6 months' time. Something that still holds true today, I guess. So let's skip on ahead. We have some mixes and things to come. What was new this month? Nothing especially exciting. Then comes a rather nice photo of a Korg DRV 2000 reverb unit. I wasn't really interested in effects units when I used to read the magazine as a teenager. Not really so interested now either, so let's skip on. Sample editing via MIDI by Jay Chapman. A comprehensive tutorial here on that, it looks like to me. Look at that. I point with my mouse. Anything that had one of these FFT 3D waveform displays, that was so cool, so in 1987. You don't see them so much nowadays, do you? But that was the most impressive way to display a waveform back then. Nowadays we just see them in 2D. Strange, isn't it? I suppose the third axis was time. What's the difference? This is showing time, frequency and amplitude all on the same graph. Nowadays we just see time and amplitude in our DAWs. What's this advert here? We have some floodlights. The competition for the new Casio FZ1. Nothing matches the new Casio FZ1. Who remembers that? I do remember it, actually. Probably my American viewers weren't so familiar with that, I'm guessing. Casio was quite an important manufacturer of pro audio equipment in the 80s. And I know they've tried to revive the brand in recent years without much success. Correct me if I'm wrong there. And this issue of Sound on Sound features a review of the FZ1. FZ1 if you're in America, so we'll have a look at that in a second. We are looking at a review for something here, some studio desk. Here we go. We come to the D50 Part 2 then. I'm interested in reading the conclusion. LA synthesis, what is it? Last month's review concentrated on the all-important sounds of Roland's first ever linear arithmetic synthesizer, the D50. This month, Martin Russ presents a detailed report on the technical aspects of the D50, liberally sprinkled with excerpts from a rare interview with Mr. Ikitaru Kakahashi. Sorry about the pronunciation. President of the Roland Corporation and inventor of LA synthesis. So there he is, guys. There he is, proudly showing his D50. Isn't that awesome? That's lovely to see that, actually. I'm not being sarcastic. That's great. And a very comprehensive interview here. If I see any question that catches my eye, we can address it. What does he say about the DX7? Mr. K, then there is the DX7, a very different set of sounds, but oh so difficult to program. Yamaha upset the apple cart even more in 1983 when the DX7 appeared. It is hard now to appreciate just what a fundamental change this represented at the time. To ears well adjusted to VCF sweeps and chorused VCOs, the new digital sound was quite a shock. Fast transients and a clear, crisp and, most importantly, different set of sounds. That's well said. Even more worrying, there was no easily recognisable building block inside a DX7 and no VCF at all. Yeah, that's the filter, voltage controlled filter. The DX7 was the first synthesizer to enter popular usage, which used only digital circuitry to generate its sounds. Inside a DX7 you will find a few computer chips with a digital to analog converter. Awesome. I'm going to read this. There's a wealth of information here. So compared to editing FM, there is no comparison. LA uses fundamental building blocks called partials. He's saying that it's much easier to edit than the DX7. Yeah, we knew that. Look at this, it still goes on. This comprehensive review of the D50. I don't think reviews these days are quite as in-depth as they used to be. But remember, this was a groundbreaking instrument at the time. We're talking about the speed of DSPs. A foxy women police officer down there. Look at this. It continues. Inside a D50, there is very little hardware inside a D50. The main printed circuit board is about 229 inches square and uses surface mount. On the main circuit board, there are 4 64-pin flat pack Hitachi, 2 Roland 12-pin. What? It's talking about all the chips that are on the circuit board. It just goes, look at it here. Wow. All the different ROMs. Fujitsu 64 kilobyte system ROMs. You don't see this in modern reviews, do you? The special DSP and the 16-bit CPU produce the high-speed processing. The keyboard is scanned using another custom Roland 64-pin flat. They even say how many pins are on these things. Who cares? I care a little bit, but even so, I mean, this was a mainstream music technology magazine, and they're really going into details here on the circuitry. The DAC. I know some of you guys are interested in things like this. There was the debate about the DX7 Mark II versus the Mark I, which raged on my channel for a while. So you go read this article. I'll link to it in the description. But I'm just looking for the ESQ1 cartridges. Okay. It was a huge thing back then, sound design, as it still is now, I guess. So let's go to the summary of the D50 review then. In reviewing the D50, I was faintly reminded of the old ARP Quadra. Yeah, I've always thought the D50 sounded fairly analogish as well, mainly because of the layering facilities and the examples chosen reflect the D50's power in this field. I'm just scanning through this as fast as I can. And foolish reviewer who... It would be a very brave and foolish reviewer who would dismiss the D50 with comments like those which appeared in the early reviews of the original DX7 and which limited the DX7's possible sounds to thin percussive imitations. Instead, I will assume that we have been given a market-driven set of fashionable sounds. Dead right there. They were all over Michael Jackson's records in the coming years. And certainly from my own editing experiences, the limits to the D50's range were difficult to probe in the restricted time available. As with all classic synthesizers, the D50 had a quality to its sounds which was all its own. This is not really the instrument to replace all others, rather another powerful ally to add to your existing setup, just as the opening quote from Mr. Takahashi indicates. I think today's synthesizers make good sounds, but for the future we must create new timbres. That is our aim. We design the future. And is that not Roland's motto, their tagline, even today? I think so. Oh, how I drooled over these Emax ads. Look at that. Now we come to this article with Steve Levine. I recognise the name. He's a record producer sitting in front of that magnificent Fairlight. Look at that. No, not the mullet. Look at the Fairlight. Setting the record straight. So what's going on here? Sound on Sound had been informed that top record producer Steve Levine wanted to give an interview in response to what he felt were misleading quotes and information that had recently appeared in the trade music press concerning the application of digital recording technology and MIDI in a pro studio environment. Oh yeah, so this was controversial at the time. Digital music processing and MIDI recording. So go read that article if you find that kind of thing interesting. And you see, tape decks were still in use in '87, not that long ago. So we're entering the period now when digital recording was starting to become more widespread in professional recording studios. I haven't seen any advertisements for consumer digital recorders, so still analog. I'm going to skip on here. Iconix MIDI sequencer. Don't recognise that. This is for the ST. No, nothing I tried out. A lot of sampling stuff here. Akai's VX90 synth expander module. Didn't really make much of an impact on that one, I don't think. And here we have now the review of the FZ1. That's what it looked like. I know, I remember reading this review. I remember having a bit of gear lust for this thing. Never seen one in the flesh though, so it wasn't a very popular instrument, I don't think. Let's see if we can find some specs. Here we go. Seeing it here. Okay, on the right then, the sample rate. The maximum sample rate, 36 kilohertz, which on the FZ1 was, or gave you 14.56 seconds. So 14 seconds of sample rate. But good news, guys, if you expanded this, then you got nearly 30 seconds. Good times. So yeah, this was all the buzz. The FZ1, £1,599, which in today's money is over £3,000 when you take into consideration inflation. Kawai R100 drum machine, that's become a bit of a classic. If you download any sampled drum machine packs from the internet, they usually include the R100. Can't say I've ever tried one though. Into the classifieds, anything interesting in these classifieds? Roland Alpha Juno 2 with flight case mint condition, never used, £650. I'd probably be happy to pay £650 for a mint Alpha Juno 2 today. Some drum machines, Casio stuff as always. Songwriter with good gear. Anybody want to ring that number? So once again, thanks for watching this browse through the pages of a very old Sound on Sound magazine. I enjoyed doing it. I hope you enjoyed tagging along for the ride. I'll see you again soon. Cheerio.